with the sunglasses.
Oh, okay. There goes the re-election. Thank God the election's over. I was listening to Michelle. I just want you to know I started this office 6'2" and 250 pounds. I'm now 5'7" and 148 dripping wet. Listen to that. I want to say this in all sincerity. While I was honored to have Michelle do the introduction, honored by her introduction, it's actually Michelle Boone and her team that deserve the credit for doing an incredible job. I'm just a pushy, punky mayor. She actually gets all the work done. And I want to give her a lot of what she just outlined while she talked about resources. Let me say this from the beginning. The whole effort as a former ballet dancer is, don't laugh, I'm serious about that. You laugh at that and you're going to get a very upset Jewish mother come back at you, okay? And I'd highly recommend, having grown up in that house, just back up, okay? You're gonna lose to her. I fundamentally believe in not only arts education, but arts as an enriching experience for the human soul, and not just as an individual, but the soul of a city. And I'm very fortunate, and the city's very fortunate to have a dedicated person in Michelle Boone who wants to make sure arts reach all neighborhoods and communities. What she outlined after Harold Washington had a plan, his plan focused on bringing a theater district to downtown. Michelle's and the city's plan is about bringing arts and culture into every part of the city of Chicago. And that same, I say that we've added time to the day because to the school day for children. We used to have the shortest school day, the shortest school year. We added an hour and 15 minutes to every day, 2 weeks to every year. A child from kindergarten to high school now gets 2.5 more years of class time. But the goal was also not only more educational time, which is essential. We are no longer going to allow our kids to pick between math or music. They're going to get math and music because that's a complete education. We are no longer going to allow our children to pick between arithmetic and arts. Arts and arithmetic is make a complete education. And that was the primary goal that people of the city of Chicago wanted to see. But in addition to that, today I just actually came from the south side of Chicago, Jackson Park, part of what Olmsted and Daniel Burnham did when we had the 1893 World Expo. Yoko Ono was in town because she's going to put her first sculpture in America there as part of our public arts campaign here in the city of Chicago. And I say that because in the city of Chicago, you can stand at Washington and Clark and see Pablo Picasso, piece of sculpture, Dubuffet, piece of sculpture, and Miro's piece of sculpture, all for free, standing on one corner. And nowhere else in the world is that possible. And today's campaign, 50 for 50, is a public art piece in every part of the city of Chicago by either a Chicago artist or a world-renowned artist. And it is to make sure that the cultural enrichment that we know in our central business district is shared throughout the city of Chicago. Michelle noted what is called Night Out in the Parks. There's 1,000 free events in the city of Chicago in our parks, 8,000 acres of, where you can go see movies, music, theater, dance from Joffrey and Shakespeare Company to the Chicago Symphony, all for free. All you need is a blanket or a lawn chair that you use to reserve your spot during the winter parking season. And I want to make sure that families can have that experience. You think I'm joking? The Chicagoans know it's called dibs. You put your lawn chair out. If you dug it out, you ruin your back. You get it when you come home at 5. And all you need to go see the Shakespeare in the theater, Shakespeare in the Park, or Night Out in the Park Circus, Midnight Circus, or Joffrey Ballet. You put that lawn chair out. You put that lawn chair out there and a blanket, and you get it for free. Families can't afford today the type of great art that we want. We want it accessible to everybody, regardless of income. And so every night across the city of Chicago, 1,000 free events throughout the summer, 7 across the city every night, 7 days a week. All you need is a lawn chair. And today's campaign is we are going to make sure, as we have in other parts of the city, is there will be public sculpture, because I want the city to reclaim for the public public spaces, and I want art to enrich that experience. All public spaces are great. They're greater if you have public art in them. And so what should, every L stop, which is our public transportation, will have art in it. We've already done that on the Red Line South, and the final piece of that is the 95th Street station, the second busiest station in the city's network, and that work will be done by our local great artist and international ambassador, Theaster Gates. Heber Bentley just did the piece that now is on the new station at Motor Row. But throughout the city, that will be both at parks, public transportation stations, at other venues where we will commission works to make sure every part of the city has art to part of that enrichment experience. I firmly believe across the city of Chicago, and for too long across the country, cities did, as part of urban renewal and part of urban growth, housing. Housing without a grocery store, housing without theater, housing without transportation is just housing. It's not a community. And if you want to bring a community together and you want them to have a shared experience, it is not only the space, but the experience, and the experience is enriched with art. And what we are so fortunate to have, hey man, I'm getting on a roll, don't interrupt. We're fortunate, though, in the city to have somebody like Theaster Gates. Somebody who knows that art is not for the rarefied, but for the public. Art is not just for the educated, it's for those to experience and to interpret for themselves in their own world, in their own way. Everything from the 95th Street station to our new intermodal facility at O'Hare, to the Dorchester housing project where we gave him old public housing and he's now made it a art space and workspace and a live space for communities. Theaster has been a part of reimagining what art can be and how people can experience it. We're fortunate to have him in the city of Chicago. I'm fortunate to also have him as a friend, but fortunate to have him in the city because he is helping us as we rebuild our city's infrastructure and rebuild our city's housing. He's part of making sure that every one of those experiences are part of the community. And so this is an effort in the city of Chicago, from our schools to our transportation, to our parks, and to our housing, of rebuilding the experience and integrating art into that experience as an essential part of the lifeblood of any community and the lifeblood of a city of Chicago. Chicago's greatest ambassador and a Chicago resident who voted twice for me, Theaster Gates.